English Forward presents.
Good morning, on.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you today?
Very good. Thank you.
That's great. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, clearly, crystal clear.
That's good to hear. I must say I'm excited to be chatting to you today. And
Thank you. Actually, I
right.
have no idea what we're going to chat about.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we'll
surprise
keep
me.
it. Yeah, we'll keep it pretty topical around what you're actually involved in the blockchain and crypto world.
Uh-huh.
And I've obviously come from an education standpoint, and just always interested to chat to other guys that are involved in the industry and see what they're doing and that type of thing. But I know your sort of background. You're a serial entrepreneur, you're an angel investor, and you've got a tech background for more than 20 years.
Correct. And for the last 2 years, I've been dedicating my life to blockchain and crypto, including education of blockchain and crypto, by the way.
Yeah, specifically the education. That's important.
Yes, it's very important, especially with the wild west that we've had for the last 3 years, especially, and it's probably going to go on until some things change.
Yeah, absolutely right. But where are you based? Where are you from in the world?
Well, I'm originally from Israel, and for the last 3 years, I'm based in London, UK.
Okay, wonderful. So with your focus towards sort of blockchain in the last couple of years, if I had to ask you who is Ani Evan and what does he stand for, what would you tell me?
So I would say that I represent the side of blockchain and crypto that is sure that it's going to revolutionize the world.
Yeah.
In almost any industry out there.
Yeah.
And beside that, I represent the side of cryptocurrency that wants regulation. Because in cryptocurrency, you have the people that are very much against regulation and very much against working with the government. And for them, cryptocurrency is all about anarchy and maximalism and so on. But I'm on the other side. I'm on the side that says that cryptocurrency is going to allow complete economic freedom to most of the people in the world, especially the ones that are unbanked. But still, we need to do that with clear regulations in order to avoid all the scammers.
I agree 100%. Now, tell me, is that sort of belief and understanding or standpoint that I know you were an advocate at the Israeli Bar Association. Does that come out of that base?
Not at all. Actually, it's not relevant at all. I do understand law because I am a lawyer.
Yeah.
I don't practice it, and I never practiced it for clients. I always used it for my own businesses. But I do understand law, but I don't think it's coming from that. That's not the reason. The reason is for the clear and simple fact that a lot of people in the cryptocurrency are talking about self-regulation, and that we need to be our own government and our own bank and our own. I wouldn't even say government, I would say our own governance. And we are supposed to decide for ourselves everything. I just don't think it's right because unfortunately, most of the people in the world are not able to do that for themselves. As much as it sounds awful, that's the case.
Yeah.
And people are driven by all kinds of emotions, especially the FOMO, what we call fear of missing out in the industry, that gets people to invest money that they don't have and cannot afford themselves to invest. And that's why we need the regulation to protect these people. Now, what I just told you is very, very much against what some of the cryptos believe in. But I think that's the only way to go, at least for now. Maybe it will change in 30, 40, 50 years. But for now, we need both worlds to be combined. And I don't think it's coming from my legal experience or knowledge. Maybe it affects it, but it comes from the fact that what we do at my company, at Cointelligence, is due diligence and research. And we've seen so many scammers. And it's not only the scammers themselves, it's the scammers, it's the scam enablers, it's mini scammers. The way that I like to call them mini scammers is because they are not trying to take your money and run away, but they are lying about so many things with regards to the investment. And it's really nasty. So if you combine all of that together, that's the reason that I am saying that we have to do it with proper regulation. And again, for now, I don't know what will happen in 30, 40, 50 years.
I agree with you. It's funny, everybody I talk to is, we talk about two different camps, the decentralized and the centralized camp. But I think I'm with you where there's a middle ground for sure that needs to be adhered to. And I think in general, if you look at society and humanity over history, as soon as you take away boundaries and borders, you get anarchy.
Exactly.
So sort of regulation.
Exactly. Now, I have to tell you that I'm not against decentralization. On the other hand, I'm all about decentralization. But when it comes to, and let me put it this way, I would like most of the crypto exchanges to be decentralized. And I would like most of the crypto coins to be decentralized. I just don't want the investments part of it to be decentralized or without censorship at all, or without regulation. That's the only part that I am concerned about, the investments part. I don't have any problem with the fact that, it's not that I don't have a problem. I love Bitcoin. I invested a lot in Bitcoin. I'm one of the people that believe in Bitcoin for the long term. And I think it's the most amazing currency. A lot of people don't agree that it's a currency. I do think it's a currency, or will become a currency, at least a currency in the sense of gold, old gold. Yeah. But I am very much against the part about investments for now, because everyone involved in the investments part of the crypto space, not everyone, but most of them, like more than 95% of the people in the world at the moment, according to what I know, are involved in the investment side, not in the most legit and not in the best way that I see. Most likely not in an ethical way.
Well, I think you've got a unique perspective on that from Cointelligence's standpoint. But just interesting, when did you start getting an interest in the blockchain crypto space? What was it that actually sparked that interest?
So I got a phone call from a good friend of mine almost 2 years ago. And after he explained to me about his plans to go into blockchain and crypto, it took me about 25 minutes of that phone call to realize that it's going to be the biggest revolution, or one of the biggest revolutions that mankind ever saw before. And that really got me going. And I immediately decided that I'm pushing aside everything, starting to learn blockchain and crypto in the best way possible. I sat down for hours, morning until night, while I was clearing my schedule and my time from everything else that I was doing. And we also started building Cointelligence. So it all happened really, really fast. And I knew deep inside me that that's definitely going to be my main thing for the next decade, at least, if not more.
Sure. Now, what did he say to you in 25 minutes that made you feel like that?
So the person, the friend that called me, he explained to me very shortly what's blockchain and what's cryptocurrency. And it took him, it was very quick. I mean, it took him like 10 minutes to explain it to me in a way that I didn't really understand, but I knew that it's huge. I knew that even though I don't fully understand it, I know that it's something so big. And you should remember that I was there when the internet revolution happened. I was on the computers from the time that I was using a computer from the time that I was 9 or 11 or something like that.
Wow, that's a long history.
Exactly, and I was there before internet was known to everyone, because it was used by universities mainly and the government. And then I started getting involved in it, and I was there when it actually started to be used by everyone. I felt the same way. It was very, very familiar to me. And I remember the excitement that I had when I was introduced to the internet. Obviously, back then it took it didn't take only less than half an hour. It took a while to be introduced to it and to be explored to it. And I was a kid back then. But I guess that it made a lot of sense to me very quickly. And I just dove into it. I mean, the following morning, I just started reading about Bitcoin. Actually, not the following day. On the same day, I watched a Netflix movie that I really like, Banking on Bitcoin. And it completely opened my mind. And the following morning, I just sat down and started reading hours over hours over hours, and I couldn't get enough of it.
Gee, that's conviction, huh?
Yeah.
But I mean, you've come a long way since then, because you're considered to be an expert in the crypto industry. I mean,
correct. I don't like the fact that people are giving expert titles, because I do believe that no one is an expert, because it's so not mature yet. It's so early. I think we didn't even see the beginning of this amazing revolution. It's only starting. That there's only, most of the things are plans and infrastructure being built. But yes, to your statement, I am considered to be a blockchain and the crypto expert.
Well, I think certainly in the industry, you stand head and shoulders above the majority of people that have even just dabbled in it, and provide a very, very necessary service. I know
I'll tell you why. I think it's because of two reasons mainly. One is that I am so passionate about it, and I don't care, and I don't want to hear about anything else besides blockchain and crypto. I'm that kind of a person. When I get into something, I go all in. I mean, that's always the way that I've been doing everything in my life, if it's hobbies or if it's business or whatever. And the second reason is for the fact that I think I am one of the few that really look at it as the future for all of us, and not just a way to make a quick buck. I've been offered so many times to join projects that I knew that I'm going to be able to make millions just from joining these projects, because I knew that they're going to raise huge, ridiculous amount of funds. And we've seen the ICOs raising 100 million plus for a couple of dozen of them, which is completely ridiculous in my opinion. And they didn't have any reason to raise these kind of funds. And I can talk to you about that for hours, but let's put that aside for a second. So I think that's the reason that people are looking at me that way, because they know and feel that I am here and I take it very seriously, and not just to make a quick buck. That's the difference, I think.
Yeah, you're in it for the long term. I can definitely sense that.
Yeah. It's hard not to sense.
Your passion, I mean, it comes through loud and clear. It really, really does.
Yeah.
Your knowledge and experience, obviously with online marketing and now combining it with crypto and the whole blockchain space, are you still advising companies and helping them in that space?
Absolutely. Whenever a company approaches me, I explain to them that before we even start discussing any potential business relationship, I always explain to them they will have to go through my due diligence process, and that means me and my team. And we are probably the most in-depth, comprehensive due diligence team that can do that. I mean, I didn't phrase that very well in English. Let me rephrase it. So we gained knowledge because we've been doing it for almost 2 years now. And we've been doing it for all kinds of blockchain and crypto companies. We are able to do a very in-depth due diligence for a company. to have a really serious process. And I always go through that process when I'm considering to work with a specific company. And after that process, I explain to them what I can do for them in case I really think that I can help them, and I can either help them improve as long as they have a good base and I see that they are serious and they really want to do something for the long term, and they have something real and not. I'm all about fantasy and dreaming, but you have to be with your legs on the ground as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so if I see all of that, then I explain to them how I can help them, and then we can start working together, either if it's for helping them with their marketing, or helping them with improving their product or their operations with regards to crypto. But they always have to have a good base, because sometimes companies approach us and ask us to do everything for them crypto-wise, and then we explain to them it's not going to happen, because the founders need to know what the hell they're doing. And we can't do the work for them because we're not the founders of the company. So, but yeah, to your question, yeah, it depends on the company. It depends on what they are able to show, and how serious and real it is. And then I'm happy to work with others. Yes.
And I see you obviously you've got the online performance and executive marketing. Are those the vehicles that you're using to engage with companies and help them in that space?
Correct.
Okay, excellent. With Coin Intelligence, I'm really interested in that because it's such a vital service where people can get verified, credible information about companies that are going to be doing ICOs, etc. Mm-hmm. Can you just tell us a little bit about it, the idea behind it, why you set it up, and just the process?
Absolutely. So basically, Cointelligence is a research and analysis company, and we've been focusing on due diligence for ICOs, STOs, coins, and exchanges. Until now, we published online only the ICOs and the exchanges part of what I said.
Yeah.
We've been really focusing on the exchanges part for the last 6-7 months. The reason is we think that the exchanges are the core and the heart of the crypto industry at the moment. And we even decided that before there was a new hype going around IEOs. Do you know what an IEO means?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Great. So before that and after that, it even made the exchanges more powerful and more significant in the crypto industry. So we decided to put a lot of effort into the rating system that we developed for the exchanges. And that's what we're focused on lately. And we will continue to focus on that in the upcoming few months, probably until the end of this year. Beside that, we also publish a lot of professional content because we think that Cointelligence should be a place for professional investors and traders, but also for people that want to get involved with crypto and don't understand anything about it. So we are very much into the content part as well. We're very much into the education part. This year, we started a roadshow in the UK, teaching students at universities about blockchain and crypto, completely for free, by the way. We didn't ask for money for that. Basically, Cointelligence should be a one-stop shop for everyone involved or interested in blockchain or crypto.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, that's very comprehensive. You know, seeing as we are talking about education, if you could just explain to people that are listening, what is an IEO?
Absolutely. So before explaining what is an IEO, I'll explain shortly about ICOs, STOs, and then IEOs. So ICOs are initial coin offerings. And basically, it's the first new fundraising mechanism that was invented within and for the crypto industry. And that mechanism is amazing, in my opinion. Unfortunately, it was used by so many scammers and scam enablers. But I do think it will come back eventually. It might take a few years for that. There were other problems with ICOs regulation-wise, because most of the countries and the SEC from the US was leading about it, just decided that most ICOs, almost all of them, are not really ICOs, they're STOs. And that will lead me to explain about what is an STO. So an STO is a security token offering, which means that you cannot just approach any investor, because it's all based on securities laws, on existing securities laws.
Yeah.
And according to that, you can only get accredited investors. Now, the reason that the world was so excited about ICOs is for the fact that with an ICO, you're not supposed to approach only accredited investors. And the reason that it's so huge, it's so significant, is for the fact that you can allow anyone out there to participate in your fundraising. And that didn't exist before. I mean, you did have crowdfunding sites that allowed you to invest in this project or that project. But with ICOs, it's completely free. It's completely open. You're not dependent on any middlemen. You're not dependent on any third party. It's all about the investors with the founders. It's all about direct connection. And that's everything about cryptocurrency. No middlemen, no extra payments for all kinds of commissions that sometimes double or triple the cost.
That's
and,
quite right.
and it's ridiculous. And that's another reason why we love crypto so much. So back to my explanation, the ICOs had a problem with regulation. I'm hoping that it will get resolved in the next few years. I don't mind if it will have limitations. Again, going back to our beginning of this conversation, I don't have a problem with limitations, but I don't agree with the fact that the regulators are saying all ICOs are STOs. It's not good for anyone. It holds back technology. It holds back innovation, and it's really bad in my opinion. Now with STOs, I do think that STOs have a lot of place and a lot of use within the fundraising industry. It's not exactly an industry, sorry, fundraising mechanism for different industries, because it will allow you to invest according to securities laws, but it will allow you to use crypto, and it will enable you to use to not only make investments in crypto, but to also enjoy some of the benefits of cryptocurrency. For example, everything around tokenization. So you can participate in buying all kinds of assets, from real estate to even stocks that you couldn't have participated before because it was too expensive. So if you couldn't buy a whole apartment in Manhattan in the US, you can buy a portion of that apartment with tokenized securities.
Yeah.
And that's a whole a big deal to itself. Now, the third part that you asked me to explain about, IEOs, that's initial exchange offering. So the exchanges just took the ICO way, the ICO mechanism, and they converted it into a mechanism that will be on their exchanges. So the exchanges are offering a launchpad for IEOs, and that means that the founders are doing signing an agreement with the exchange. The exchange is listing the tokens, the crypto tokens, and they are selling it to the public. And that means that people can participate in this fundraising mechanism. But my problem with it, I have a few problems with it. One is that it's only limited to a certain amount of exchange users. It's not really open to the public. It might be open to non-accredited investors. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but it's not really open to the public. And the second problem I have with it is that we're losing a lot of the transparency, and we're losing the fact that middlemen are not needed, because the exchange is actually a middleman between the founders and the investors. So I don't really appreciate IEOs too much at the moment, but I'm not dismissing it completely. It does need some changes. with regards to transparency and with regards to the middlemen that should not take as much commissions as we are used to the banks taking, and so on and so on. So that's basically the overview of ICOs, STOs, and IEOs.
Yeah, thanks for that explanation. That's very clear. On just with IEOs, obviously for a company to get listed on an exchange to have an IEO, they need to go through some sort of due diligence process.
Yes,
And
but it's a pretend due diligence process, to be honest.
pretend. Okay.
Most of the exchanges, and when I say most of them, I'm talking again about more than 90%, maybe even 95%. I don't have clear numbers, but I can tell you from what me and my team are seeing, at least 90 to 95% of them are not doing any due diligence process at all. They're saying that they are, but they're not. And actually, I'm starting to test it in the upcoming months, because I am trying to get to show the industry that even if you send a white paper, a project with a white paper, that should never be approved by any exchange, anyone, even if it's not a real professional, and we will try to prove that they're not even reading the white paper, which is a joke.
Yeah, that's so then it would come back to where it's a fee-based transaction where the exchange is making money and listing a project and putting themselves in as the middleman. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so then you're back to that problem again, and that is definitely something that needs to be solved to get back to the idea of what a crypto was set up to do initially and to achieve. So as an investor, if I wanted to find some information on a particular company, can you just talk us through Cointelligence as a resource and how that would help me?
Absolutely. So at Cointelligence, you can go on the website, and then you have the search, different search modes. So you have the super search that you can search the entire website. You have the search within the lists themselves. So if you go on the ICO list, you see all the ICO and the STOs, and you can search for a specific ICO or STO. You can go on the IEO list and search for a specific IEO. Not all of them are rated, by the way. Some of them are listed, some of them are rated. Unfortunately, we don't have the capacity yet to rate everything on the site. It takes a lot of time and effort.
I can imagine. A lot of information.
Yeah, exactly. And if you go on the exchanges list, for example, you can search for specific exchanges and to find an exchange that you are interested in. So that's the basic of the search options that you have on the site. And we are always open for any suggestions or any recommendations from the crypto community. So if someone goes on the website and doesn't find something that he's looking for, they're always welcome to approach us on any social media platform. We are on all the major ones: LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and obviously the crypto platform Telegram. You can engage with us directly, me, the other team members. Most of the day, at least one of us is online and responding to any queries. And everyone is more than welcome to approach us about everything they're interested in and would like to get details if they couldn't find it on the site.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very generous offer. Appreciate it. And just back to me coming onto Cointelligence, what would be the most important points for me to look at in doing a due diligence on a company that was going to do an ICO or an IEO?
So it's really straightforward, because you go on the website and you go into the specific page of the project, if it's an ICO or an STO or an IEO, and you can actually see the details there. And in case we rated that project, you can see the score, and you can see how we divided the score according to the different categories. And on top of that, you can also read the text that we always add in order to explain the score analysis.
I must say, I've found it very, very useful, the information and the data that you put out.
Thank you. Thank you. And what we are trying to achieve is to really get as many projects rated as possible. Also, if you are interested, for example, let's take the exchanges part. So if you're interested to know about the exchange, you can basically get all the information on the exchange whenever you go on the page. Again, not all the pages. Right now we have about 330 or 40 listed exchanges.
Okay.
About less than half of them are rated. And for that half, we also included as much information as we could, but also for the non-rated exchanges, you can see a lot of the important information, you can always find useful information and links to everything that you want to find on the exchange, if it's the fees, if it's the volume, if it's the trading pairs, if it's the legal part of the exchange, where the exchange is regulated, if it is regulated, which is a huge important part of the exchanges at this moment, because most of the non-regulated exchanges can be really risky, and I'm not sure that people should trust them with their money. Basically, you just go into the specific pages of each project or each exchange, and you can see the information there.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful to have a resource like that that aggregates a lot of credible content, because you can find so much online and can spend a lot of time going down rabbit holes and not being able to verify information. And obviously, with what we've discussed, your team has done, a decent audit on the companies that you guys put there, and there's enough information for someone to be able to read up about something in one place and know that it comes from a credible source.
Absolutely. I think that the best, the biggest advantage that the industry has with Cointelligence is the fact that we're probably one of the few, if not the only one, that is completely impartial and completely objective. And when I say completely, what I mean is the following. First of all, we do not support publicly any specific project. You will never find Cointelligence supporting a project like we have seen so many people, influencers, YouTubers, listing websites, rating websites, event organizers, and so on and so on. The list is so long, and we don't do that. In fact, you asked me at the beginning of this call about my marketing and what about a project if I'm helping a crypto and blockchain projects, and the answer was yes. So just to give you an example of how serious I take this impartial and objective thing is, let's say that an exchange will approach me and ask me to work with them. I will explain to that exchange that I don't have a problem to start the due diligence process in order to decide if I am willing to work with them or not. But they have to consider one important thing. If we are starting to work together, me and them, and me is not necessarily Cointelligence, but with one of my agencies, it means that they will not be able to be rated on Cointelligence, because then it might affect, it's not going to affect the objectivity, but I don't want anyone to even think about it. So that's why I decided to always make sure that there's no connection between the rating and something else that I'm involved in.
It's good to have because that perception is important out in the market.
Exactly. The second part is that what I really hate is seeing all kinds of websites and all kinds of influencers shilling. That's how we call it in the industry. They are shilling specific tokens or specific coins. And that's really nasty in my opinion. When I do shilling for anything, I will always do it only if there's no business relationship between me and that company. And business relationship means between the company and Cointelligence, between the company and one of my agencies, and so on and so on. And we've seen so many people in the industry do it. Not only we saw them do it, we saw them actually enabling scams and profit so much money from it. And when it was turned out to be a scam, they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know."
Yeah.
So, and that includes celebrities, and it includes leading influencers in this industry, and the list goes on and on and on. Now, beside all of that, I mentioned that even if it will be me personally, or if it will be a company that works with one of my agencies, but it can also be a company that works with Cointelligence, and I'll explain. So everything that you see on Cointelligence is completely impartial and objective, and it's not paid for. The only part that you can pay for advertisement, it's either banners that everyone knows that it's being paid, it's common knowledge,
Yeah.
or if it's a premium listing, then it says sponsored. It says very clearly that it was paid for. So everyone will know that it's paid, and we're very much against not disclosing such things. We've seen so many websites not do it. And on top of that, for example, a company can approach us and ask us for our due diligence services. For example, investors that would like to decide if they would like to invest in specific project, an exchange that would like us to help them with their due diligence, a bank that wants to know if he should work with a specific client or not. So these individuals and companies approach us and ask us to do the due diligence for them, and we don't have a problem with that because it's on a private level. It's not on a public level, and it's not being published on Cointelligence. So it cannot solicit, it cannot help solicit any investors and so on and so on. And whenever a company will work with us and pay us to do the due diligence, if they will ask us, for example, and it happened a couple of times before, if they will ask us to also include advertisement on Cointelligence and not disclose it, and then they tell us, why do you need to disclose it? You did a due diligence process. Okay, we paid for it, but it turned out to be good. So I always explain to them, it doesn't matter. As long as you paid for this due diligence service, it will not be published, period. No matter what you do, no matter how many times you ask me to do it.
I think it's so important to have a standard and to uphold that, because it creates a safe place. People don't have to guess, are they getting skewed information or not? They know the information is correct and it's coming out the same way every time.
Exactly. That's exactly what I think.
Yeah, I think it's it's crucial, especially as we discussed the industry. There's so much change, so many different ideas. We're right in the infancy of what we're all trying to achieve, and we need people like yourself, Cointelligence, and what you guys are setting up, because it creates stability and creates a firm footing for us to move forward onto the next stepping stone. So, yeah, it's something that I really appreciate in what you guys are doing.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind
I wanted
words.
to ask you, we spoke about education, and you said you're obviously a keynote speaker at a lot of conferences, and you give a lot of free training and education. A lot of what we do at English Forward is it's obviously education, and we're concerned about it and how we can actually do our little bit in the world of education. But do you think, we are right at the infancy, what could be done for students at a university or course level to actually accelerate the knowledge? Because that's what we're lacking in the marketplace, is actual knowledge.
Yes. Unfortunately, we lack knowledge, and unfortunately, a lot of the token and coin founders and owners are doing education, but the problem that I have with it is that they're doing non-objective education, and they're not explaining really about cryptocurrency and the benefits of cryptocurrency. They also try to convince you to think that their cryptocurrency is the best out there. And there are a few good cryptocurrencies, but most of them are not there yet. And most of them are not good for investment unless you have the money to lose. And that's why I always explain people, don't trust anyone, including myself. Do your own due diligence always, and always invest money that you can invest and lose and forget about if it drops down to zero tomorrow morning. And that's the situation at the moment with the crypto industry. And with regards to education in general, exactly, that's why I decided to start a roadshow this year in the UK. Last year, I was very focused on speaking at different blockchain and crypto events. But this year, I'm much more focused on trying to educate people outside the blockchain and crypto industry, and to get them engaged and to get them involved, and again, in a good way, in an objective way. And that's what I think we should aim for. I'd be happy to help that anytime with anyone, anywhere.
Yeah, it's so necessary. Tell me, with the roadshow and the obviously the fixed location training that you're doing, do you have any online education that people can access on your channels?
So actually, next month we are starting our first online academy session. Until now, I did it physically, but next month we're going to start with the first online session, and I'm going to run it with my partner at Cointelligence, Hossam Mazawi. And I think that it's going to be a lot of fun and super interesting.
Is that going to be published on Cointelligence on those channels?
Of course, it's going to be published on the site, and it's going to be published on all our social media platforms. And we will make sure that as many people are aware of it.
No, I look forward to that. That'll be great.
Great.
Yeah, I it's funny. So many people we talk to, even people that are involved in the blockchain space, don't really understand the potential or what it actually is. And it's almost, people have heard buzzwords. There's a lot bandied around in the market, but the more accurate information we can get into people's hands, and the quicker they understand it, the quicker we're going to get adoption of the technology, and it can actually become a really useful part of society. I just wanted to
I completely agree with you. Sorry, it was a little bit cut out, but I completely agree with what you said. Yeah,
no, it's fine. With adoption, it's a critical component into taking an idea which is growing and getting it into a mainstream accepted format. But obviously there's some challenges in blockchain adoption specifically. What do you see as the major obstacles? I mean, obviously you've spoken about education, but are there any other things that you could highlight that you feel could actually help us progress at a faster pace?
So I think it's already happening. I think that so many of the 500 Fortune companies, including the leading technological companies like IBM and Microsoft and even Facebook, that we've seen now that are pretending pretending to have a new cryptocurrency, and I think that they are misleading the public. They're not creating a cryptocurrency, and it's a fake cryptocurrency, and I call it a crap coin because it's not really a cryptocurrency. But we do see the efforts that all of them are taking, and we do see that that it's happening. I mean, the infrastructure is being built. So many startups are trying as well. I don't think that anything else should be done because it's already being done. I mean, so many people are involved at the moment, and so many people are trying to build the next best blockchain and trying to build real significant companies that can change people's lives. And I don't think there's much to add to that, beside the fact that we should all continue and keep trying and do our best. And there's many good people in the industry and a lot of really, really smart and intelligent people that are trying to build amazing companies. And I think that the two biggest factors would be the regulation, and we need the regulators to help us, and we need to fight the scams and to clear the scammers as much as possible. And if these two things will happen, I think that the industry will have an amazing future.
Mm. You know, the one thing that always strikes me when I speak to people that are involved in blockchain and crypto, and I'm talking to about people at a more sort of corporate and development type level, is the absolute optimism that people have that the future can be better and that this technology in some way can contribute to that. And I think that's why people are pouring so much energy into it. And the one,
I agree, and I'm sure, and I'm sure about it 100%. I mean, I don't have any doubts. I mean,
yeah,
with regards to finance only, put aside the other industries. With regards to finance, we have to understand that cryptocurrency enables us, for the first time in human history, to have complete economic freedom. It never happened before. And you can own your own money, you can hold your own money, and you can access your own money whenever you want without getting permission from anyone. That doesn't exist. That didn't exist before cryptocurrency.
I think it's a wonderful thing, you know, with banking and micropayments, how it just opens up to developing nations and allows unbanked people to suddenly join a global economy. It's a wonderful, wonderful concept.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a part of the reason that I'm so excited about it.
You've got incredible energy and I mean, you must be a hang of a busy guy. Do you have a daily sort of a ritual? How do you set up your day? How do you work at such a high level consistently and maintain your motivation?
So that's a great question. My wife asks me that at least once a week. So first of all, that's my personality. Whenever I fall in love with something, I am so dedicated. I can even say I'm so obsessed with it. It's an obsession.
Yeah.
And it gets me going and it drives me. And I can work from morning until night, and I don't want to do anything else beside working. And actually, it's half working, half doing your hobby, because it's like a hobby for me. It's not just to work, it's also to learn, and to every day I learn new things. And I'm not talking about little things, I'm talking about huge things. Yeah. And every day I get introduced to new blockchains and new projects, and it's all potential. And nothing is, most of it is not actually working yet, but I can see it working, even if it takes 2, 3, or 5 or 10 years. It will happen. Yeah. I see it happen. And again, for me, it's easy because I've seen the internet revolution. I was one of the first to use emails. Everyone laughed at me saying, "Why are you using this thing? No one will answer you." So for me, it's easy. So I start my day. As soon as I wake up, I make myself a cup of coffee, and I start responding to emails immediately. I don't do anything else before I finish handling all the urgent emails that I got overnight, or that I got from my team early morning. Yeah. Most of my team is based in other countries, and some of them are starting their day earlier than me, so I need to catch up. Yeah. As soon as I finish that, I start working with my teams. If it's the team at Cointelligence, if it's the team at my agency, I work with them hands-on for everything that we do. I have an amazing teams, and I'm really, really grateful for that. And they do an amazing job. But for me, it's really important to be involved and to do the work with them. That's the way that I believe that you should manage a business. I don't believe so much in managing it from above and just making the important decisions. It's also about actually working with the teams. Yeah. And after a couple of hours, I either start going to meetings with, if it's partners, if it's colleagues, if it's other researchers, if it's clients, and in between, I handle all the incoming emails as well, which is pretty hectic. And
I can imagine.
Yeah, and I try to, the funny thing is that I relocated to the UK almost 3 years ago, and I never used the public transportation because even though it's amazing, and just to explain why I'm calling it amazing, if you compare it to Israel, where I was born and raised and where I come from, I mean, public transportation in Israel is really not good. It's not that it doesn't exist or it doesn't work, but it's not that reliable. You need to wait a long time for buses and trains and so on. And it's really not worthwhile not to own a car. But I decided a few years ago that I'm going to start using public transportation or start using taxis. And then I relocated to the UK and I started using, in Israel, I started using taxis. And when I got into the UK, I started using Uber. And I was using Uber all day long. And the biggest advantage that I had is that I used Uber and then I could open my laptop and continue to do the work while I'm traveling.
Yeah.
And a month ago, I realized that the public transportation in the UK is so much better than in Israel that I have to try it. And I started using it, and I'm really excited about it because I'm using the buses now and I'm using the trains, and it's really easy. I mean, it's you have a train every 2-3 minutes, and I mean, even if you miss the train, you just wait a couple of minutes and you have the next one. So it's really easy. But the only problem I have, is that I'm not connected. So whenever I use the tube, you see me every station. You see me try to connect to the Wi-Fi to respond to the texts and emails, and I go mad when it's not connecting because sometimes there's too much traffic on the Wi-Fi, and it doesn't get you connected, and then I miss it, and then I go to the next train stop, and then I try to connect again, and it doesn't work sometimes. Anyway, so that's the only issue that I have right now. But beside that, it's as long as I'm focused during the day and I'm connecting and I'm responding to the emails, it's great. If not, by evening, I have so many emails to respond, and then it takes me a couple of hours to catch up.
It sounds like you are having such a lot of fun with your work and your life. It actually reminds me of Mark Twain's quote, find a job you enjoy doing, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And I think that's very true of you.
Exactly. I'm a workaholic. I am completely addicted to work, but it's not really work. That's exactly what I always explain people.
Yeah, when you've got a passion, it isn't. You just love doing it, and it becomes part of who you are, and that's wonderful.
Exactly.
Really, really wonderful. And I've really enjoyed chatting to you. I just want to say thanks so much for your time. I know you're such a busy guy, and giving up an hour is very precious, but thank you very much for being with us.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. And as I mentioned before, it's not a slogan. It's not something that I say to sound good. I really mean it. Anyone, including you, anyone from your team, anyone that you know, if you want us to look at something, at any blockchain crypto project, if you want to get our opinion on something and you cannot find it on Cointelligence, you can approach me or anyone from my team on any social media platform, by email, and we'll be happy to help with anything.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. We'll definitely keep that in mind, and I'm sure that's useful information for many people that will be listening. So thanks very much, John.
Thank you very much for talking to me.
Yeah, have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Good. Bye.
You were listening to an English Forward production, the web's largest Learn English community and Q&A site. Everything you need to understand and improve your English. Visit EnglishForward.com.